Hello, Garage Squad. My name is Eric Beebe. I'm talking to you today to nominate my wife Patricia, my two children Suriana and Wyatt, and myself for our 1972 Chevy Nova. I'm nominating my entire family because this vehicle has been taxing on all of us, not just me. My wife absolutely did not want me to get an older vehicle. She wanted me to do like everybody else in the military, go down to the dealership, get your new vehicle, and then make payments because we get the monthly paycheck, we can afford it. Well, me, I'm a mechanic, hobby mechanic. I sold her on the idea. I can do the vehicle myself. Any problems that come up with it, I don't have to pay a mechanic. Very little I would have to turn it in for. It's such an old vehicle. They're so easy to work on. We'll be cruising the United States. Windows down, kids in the back. It'll be a blast. After about a month of feeding this to her every day, she let me buy it. So we drove from Fort Hood, Texas, where I was stationed, all the way up to Dallas. Looked at the vehicle. My wife liked it. The interior was already done. They had just repainted it. It wasn't perfect, but it could have been a rolling project. So we drove it from Dallas all the way back to Fort Hood. That's probably the farthest that vehicle's ever driven since I had it. The first thing I did when I got the vehicle is got rid of the drum brakes and put in power disc brakes. For about 2 weeks, I was able to drive the vehicle no problems. Then I started getting the infamous engine knock. At this point, I told my wife, hey, I'm going to build an engine. So I decide I want to go performance. I buy a used 388 stroker. Perfect performance for me. I just wanted the small block, 388, good to go. Get it back to my shop, pull it apart. Lo and behold, it's not a 388 stroker, it's a 355. I can handle that. So I'm going to turn it into the machine shop and get it milled, and we'll make it a 388 stroker. Take it to the machine shop. Guy goes to start stripping it. There's a crack in the engine block. So bought an engine that was totally worthless. So once again, I have to go buy another engine. So luckily the machine shop had a 350 4-bolt main laying there. I was able to get it real cheap. They did all the milling work for me, slapped the engine all together. Well, put the engine in. The transmission I have could not handle it. Blew the transmission out. So transmission's got to go. Back to the machine shop. They have a 700 R4 that they beefed up for me. Put that in the car. Good to go. Car's ready to go, honey. Nope. Rear end can't keep up with the new engine and transmission. Blew out all the gears. So guess what I got to do? Buy another rear end. At this point, I don't know much about rear ends, so I get a buddy to help me with that. We get it back together, and then he convinces me, hey, you got a 388 stroker, right? Yeah. You got iron heads on it. Let's redo those. I don't know anything about heads. I always turn them in to get somebody else to do it. But I let my friend convince me, hey, let's do it ourselves. So we have YouTube right here, my head's right here, going back and forth between the two. It went about as well as it sounds. They made it about 1,000 miles before they blew sky high. So once again, got to go to my wife. Got to put the dream on hold. Got to buy new heads. At this point, I just turned it into the shop. I told them, get me the heads that'll work on it. I need performance. Told them all the specs of the engine. Slapped the new heads on. It takes them about 4 or 5 weeks because I didn't want them to rush on the job. Get it back. Hey, honey, it's fixed. All I got to do now is paint it. Well, that was wrong. Engine's leaking oil everywhere. Blew the rear main when the heads went. So at that point, it just got parked. It's pretty much been sitting ever since. I recently got out of the Army back in November. I ended up taking a job up in Sioux City, Iowa with the Iowa Air National Guard as a technician. So we had to put the car on a trailer and drag it all the way up there because I was afraid to drive it. I just recently fixed the oil leaks. I've been afraid to drive it any more than 10 miles, and in the fear that something else is going to go wrong. But it's still got the bodywork problems. The guy that owned it before me, they did paint it all right, but they covered up a bunch of just mess. They didn't prep correctly, so there's just big chunks of the paint coming off. The interior that they did it's going bad because one of the back windows had a leak, so that fiberboard just went destroyed. Bunch of stains in the seats now. I need somebody's help. I can't afford to take it to a mechanic to do a full strip down. We just bought a house. We just got off active duty, so we got to put our dreams on hold again. I feel so sorry for my family. I convinced them and got them all excited about this, and it hasn't been working out. So please, Garage Squad, if you can help me in any way possible, I would love for my family to get the dream that I promised them and have this car ready to go down the road where we're not embarrassed to drive it. Thank you.